Hey you guys, I'm sitting down. We just got done with school. It's been a busy day. I'm recording this on a Monday, so it's been a busy Monday. And I am just taking a few minutes to sit down and answer some of your questions. I get questions and emails from you guys all the time, and it's sometimes fun just to hear the answers of other people's questions. I just thought I would sit down today and answer a handful of your questions. I have my computer over here, so I'm going to read the questions off of there. So if you're wondering what I'm looking at over here, and thank you so much for tuning in today. If you enjoy listening to videos like this, give me a thumbs up, because that tells YouTube that this is the kind of content you like seeing, so it will show you more of it. And it also helps my channel too as well, just to show other people that you're here. So thanks for giving me a thumbs up, and let's get started. All right, so this is a question that I get quite a bit, and I know exactly how this girl feels. So April says, how can we do all the things, keep up with the pace, meal plan, grocery shop, cooking, cleaning, and still managing to find the time to homeschool? It's an incredible challenge to do everything and not drop any balls while juggling. I completely understand. Juggling these things can be so challenging at times. First, I think that as moms, we just juggle way too much. I think in America, I don't know if it's like this everywhere, but I think in America, our lives revolve around sports and lots of extracurricular activities. Everybody is burnt out. And so I think that remembering that busyness is not a virtue. Make it a goal that your weekly schedule allows for 2 full days, that your car does not leave the garage. I think that helps a lot. It instantly creates more time. And then next, I think developing simple routines is key. Start school at the same time each day. Simplify your meal plan and plan a whole month of meals at a time. I have lots of meal plan videos on my channel here if you want to check those out. You could run errands all at once, maybe Saturday mornings, get all the groceries done for the week. And maybe you have a late day of school on Fridays and you take that time to clean with the kids' help. So paring down the schedule to only things that are really necessary for your family and developing simple routines is going to help with that constant juggle so much. Okay. The next question is, I think, another common question, and that is, Kate says, how can we limit screen time with our kids? There's so much negative content online. Well, there is a lot of negative content online, and I think that there are just certain things that parents have become skittish to set boundaries on, and I think screen time is one of those things. And I think that the only answer is to simply...
Alicia, here is your reminder. Do French class.
I think that the only answer is to just set the time limits for screens. We waited until our kids were 14, a little older, until we allowed them to have a phone. And then at that point, there were screen limits set and with their phones. And then with younger kids, everything had a passcode to access, and there were time limits there as well. So they couldn't just, pick up an iPad or pick up I don't know what other devices there are, and just kind of play. The more hours that we allow our kids on screens, I mean, there's just only so many hours in the day. The less time they're going to be reading and creating and playing and imagining and all of those kid things that they should be doing. So no one else is going to set those boundaries for our kids. So we just simply have to set them, to do the hard thing and just set them. This next question is on testing, like standardized testing. And Abby says, I am torn on whether or not testing is something I should do with my kids. What are your thoughts on standardized tests? So we have always lived in states that the state laws require homeschoolers to be tested yearly. So we've done annual testing with our kids from 2nd grade on up to comply with the laws. We do pick our own tests and have used Bob Jones University, BJU Press, standardized testing for most years. We do not prepare for these tests in any way. I think it's actually kind of fun to see how the kids' scores align with the rest of the country's, but I don't think that they're a must do by any means. If your state doesn't require it, if it were me, I would maybe do 1 or 2 in the high school years so that my teens could be, you know, somewhat prepared for the ACT. Because I do think as, you know, high school juniors, I do think that you should have them take the ACT, even if they're not necessarily college bound, because if they change their mind later, it's a good thing to have, and then they don't have to retake it, you know, having, you know, left school or are kind of out of the swing of doing school and then having to go back and take an ACT test. I think that would be not very fun. But I might do, you know, a test every few years in the elementary years just to see how they score on the, you know, certain subjects. But overall, I see it as a task that I have to do to stay compliant with the state laws. And I've never been surprised by the scores, really, where my kids need to do work and where they're excelling. Like, that always really aligns with what I already knew about my kids. So I don't know, I wouldn't feel pressured to do it. But if you see it as a useful thing, then I would go ahead and do it, unless your state requires, and then I would definitely do it. So, okay, this next question is on budget. I have a very small budget for homeschooling. What are the top 3 things you would spend money on for your kids' education? And this question's from Jenny. Okay. So over the years of homeschooling, I feel like I have spent less and less on curriculum. Every year I find myself spending less and less. I used to do, you know, big orders from Rainbow Resource and Christian Book, but I don't really do that anymore at all. I feel like I think that as you go, you kind of figure out what you need and what works, and then you realize that you're just kind of reusing some of the favorites. So I think that you'll be able to use them again and again. So if you can collect some good resources at the beginning, then you'll be able to use them with your younger kids. Great books and building your home library is really important. So I would definitely hit used book sales and focus on books that accompany what you're studying for the year. Getting a good math curriculum that can be used over and over again with younger kids is also a really good idea. And then lastly, I would focus on a history study that your whole family can do all together. You can search like Facebook Marketplace or eBay for good deals on used curriculum. I have done that plenty of times. And it's a great way to save money on curriculum. Many times there are used options available for what you want to buy for curriculum, which is a great way to save money. And then of course, using the library as much as you can, borrowing from friends. There's a lot of free resources online. If you use something like Ambleside online, that's free. And then you can just check books out from the library. You don't have to buy all the books. And if you want to buy them, you can almost always find them for used. Thrift books is another really, really great resource for finding things on a budget. Okay, my daughter is practicing her clarinet downstairs, so you can maybe hear that. But the next question is from Holly, and she says, how do you create a plan for your high schooler? Okay, well, this is fun. I actually feel like, having almost graduated 2 of my 4 kids, I have kind of gotten a little bit better grasp on how to actually make a good plan, a good 4-year plan. Basically, when they're like 8th grade or so, I just take a piece of paper. There's a dog running through. I take a piece of paper and I just divided into 4 squares for each year of high school. And then after lots of brainstorming and thought, I just start to plot out credits for each of those years. So typically I'll do a math, a science, a history, and then electives for each year. But this can vary because a lot's based on what types of credits they need to build their, kind of work on their post-high school plan. So if they're, college, if they know for sure they want to go to college, then I might plan a little bit differently. If they are probably going to go into a science field, I'll have more science labs on there, math, accordingly, history accordingly. So, that kind of comes into account a little bit. For each year of high school, I want to make sure that they're being stretched and growing in life skills and apologetics and literature. So as a homeschool mom, I can be really creative in crafting the exact courses that my kids need, and you can do the same for yours. These 4-year plans are subject to change, but it's nice to have an overview of what what my kids' high school years will look like. And so, besides those core classes, the math, the science, and then the electives, probably want to put at least 1 or 2 years of foreign language in there. And then I want every year to include some kind of a class on, like I said, apologetics, philosophy, something that they're going to be thinking and really stretching their brains and learning things that are going to take them into life. Things that I feel like are more important than, some of the required classes and things like that. So that's kind of how I build a 4-year plan. We have a couple more questions. This one's from Nicole. I'm looking for advice on homeschooling in your 40s with teens and also needing to help your aging parents. Basically, how can we homeschool when life is very chaotic? Okay. Yeah, so pretty much life is always chaotic. I think that one of the most beautiful things actually about homeschooling is that our kids are present for all of life's events, the good and then the not so good as well. Our kids are around for the day-to-day tasks. So like running errands, helping shovel the neighbor's driveway. They can learn how to change the furnace filter, properly put away the groceries. And then they're also around to see us as parents handle some of the struggles of life, like aging parents. Recently we had someone that was sick in our family, someone that was undergoing some intense treatments for an illness. And it was a really difficult thing for this family member, but of course for my kids as well, to kind of watch that all happen. And so, while this family member was in the thick of all of this, I just had to really hold our schedule really loosely. And we are able to do that because we homeschool. And so we can set things aside and we can pack the school books and we can go and be with this family member. And, we're afforded that luxury of flexibility with this homeschool life. And so even though there are hard times to endure together, I am grateful that we can do it as a family. Academics and social events and all of those things can be placed on the back burner for a while, and in order to be more attentive to family members who need us and things like that need to be done. And also we can just learn an innumerable amount of lessons from taking that time to kind of set things aside and when we need to, and when life does get very chaotic, sickness, moving, all of those like big life events that need our time and attention. But the next question is from Lydia, and that is, in your opinion, can homeschooling be creative like it is in the younger years? Okay. Yeah. So many times in the last year or two, I have been a little bit sad about kind of those fleeting days of, those little kid years where there's just so much fun art projects and, you know, the simple lessons and the single digit math problems, of course. But at the same time, I think watching my teens become more fully into the adults that they will be someday is just such a beautiful thing. So even though my teenagers don't get excited about lap books and things like that anymore, I do think there are plenty of ways that we can lay a feast for very creative high school homeschool experiences. Reading great literature, planning fun meals around those books, maybe a movie night as well. After you finish the book, you can have your teens research food for the time period of the book and pick up the ingredients and then make a whole feast as a family. You can write out conversation cards for the dinner table around the book and discuss it over a meal. You can do a movie night and you can do popcorn and fun toppings and serve it in fun like cardboard boxes like you're at the movie theater. You can create your own gym class and you can go jogging with your teens each day. You'll both get your exercise in and then they can start earning a gym credit. All of that is super fun and creative. To end a section in their history book so you can have them write a report and present it to the family, and then you can challenge them by having them write the report as an autobiography of the person that they're studying in that section, and then present it in first person. I mean, there's so many things like you can teach them life lessons, right? You can learn to bake sourdough together and sew and grill on the barbecue outside or change a tire in the car or on the car. There's just so many fun things that you can do with older kids because they have, you know, they have more hands-on skills than a younger kid has. And so you can do these things with your older kids that, even though it is a little bit hard sometimes to kind of say goodbye to those younger years, I mean, Lord willing, they'll circle back again when we have grandkids and we can do some of these fun things with our grandkids. But I think that there are so many fun things about having teenagers. I think that people that dog the teenage years, I'm not sure. I think that it's definitely more fun than people say it is. I think that there's a lot of like doomers out there that make it sound like having teenagers is like the worst thing ever, but I have not experienced that at all. So one more question, and that is, do you have any tips on balancing the responsibilities of homeschooling, homemaking, church, friends, and having extracurricular activities? For me, it's the most challenging part of homeschooling. That is from Jessica. I think that finding a balance in all of these things in homeschool life is one of the most sought after things as a homeschool mom. I know for myself included, I get this question all the time. Maybe the first step is just admitting that there is never going to be a perfect balance. So then the second step should be to be ever aware of the things that we say yes to. I think that that is the biggest thing. Inevitably, if we're saying yes to one thing, it means that we're saying no to another thing. And that goes for the curriculum that we choose, the activities that we say yes to, the time that we spend scrolling instead of getting things done that would make our life more, you know, relaxed at the end of the day, whatever that is. Sometimes we say yes to great things. Sometimes those things cause a lot of stress because we've said yes to too many things. There are seasons where the activities are bustling, like all of the concerts and the recitals and all of that kind of thing in the spring. I know I've told you guys already, like this is a very busy season for us. And so I'm going to have to be flexible on some of the other things. So this is a season where my house isn't going to be super clean. My house is going to have some areas that need attention, and I may or may not get to them for a little while. Meals are going to be more simple, all of those things. So, but we're able to be flexible with those things because we have freedom and flexibility in homeschooling. One rule of thumb is that I have to be fully home for 1 or 2 days of the week. So like I cannot have, you know, if I'm planning out my activities for the year and Monday through Friday, I have to be somewhere, I have to rework that a little bit because that's not going to work. It just helps things run more smoothly at home. So maybe one reason that things feel chaotic in your house is that you're just gone too much, because when you're gone so much, there's just no physical way to be able to do all the things. So, I also pair grocery runs on days that I'm already out. So like I can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So if I'm already out for piano lessons, I can do a really quick grocery run and grab all the groceries for the week and get that done at one time. And I don't have to kind of carve out that time and leave my house on a whole separate day. So, and also don't be afraid to cancel plans if your family has been in a busy season and you just need to have a little bit more downtime. I mean, it's so fun to say yes to everything, and there's so many things that we want to just say yes to all the things, but then, you know, it's like, oh my gosh, I've said yes to everything, and now I feel like, you know, I'm going crazy. And sometimes we just have to know when that balance is, like, you know, which is more important at the moment. And sometimes that is saying yes to dinner with friends or things like that. And sometimes that's saying yes to the laundry. So I don't know. It's always a constant push and pull. It's always a constant kind of seeking to strike a balance. And I'm not sure if we'll ever completely strike that balance, but it is always good, I think, to be aware of not letting things get too out of whack. So I hope that that is helpful. I love answering your questions. You can always leave questions in the comments or shoot me an email as well, which you can find on my website, my contact information. And now I need to get back to my my things that I need to get done for the day. It is a super busy season, so I'm trying to be very diligent and disciplined with my time. So I am going to get back to it. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you guys in the next video.